The Egyptian Book of the Dead, Part 1, Introduction. To set the Egyptian Book of the Dead in its wider context, we need to remember that the civilization of ancient Egypt, the Egypt of the pharaohs, endured for well over 3,000 years before it came to an end with its annexation by Rome in around 30 BC. Periods of political strife and upheaval were balanced by times of peace and prosperity, the most significant of which coincide with the periods known as the Old Kingdom, 2650 to 2152 BC, the Middle Kingdom, 1986 to 1759 BC, and the New Kingdom, 1539 to 1069 BC. It was during the New Kingdom that the Book of the Dead as we know it emerged, but the ideas and beliefs expressed in it had gradually evolved over the preceding 2,000 years or longer, shaped by a combination of the Egyptians' experience of everyday life, the landscape in which they lived in historical events, the annual flooding of the Nile, on which the fertility of the land bordering the great river depended, and the orbital movement of the sun, moon, and stars led to the belief that life followed a recurring cyclical pattern. Moreover, the universe appeared to be governed by an eternal cosmic order, Mat, within which everything had its rightful place, even human life, whose principal phases of birth, youth, parenthood, and old age and death were compressed into a lifespan of about 35 years, was an integral part of this cosmic order. Like other ancient civilizations, the Egyptians expressed their beliefs through myths in which the exploits of the gods personified both visible phenomena and the invisible forces that drove the cyclical patterns governing the universe. The myths and the religion they inspired underwent a considerable evolution in the millennia prior to the emergence of the Book of the Dead, influenced partly by shifts in regional power and partly by the priests who attended to the temples and cult centers in cities up and down the Nile. However, two elements remained constant: the prominence of the various gods associated with the sun, e.g. Ra, Horus, and Aten, and the central role of the king or pharaoh. The latter made offerings to the gods on behalf of his subjects, and the gods reciprocated by giving life to the pharaoh and his people. According to the Book of the Dead, a similar reciprocal arrangement was believed to sustain the life of the deceased after his or her entombment. Of the many myths left behind by the ancient Egyptians, there is one that is particularly relevant for the Book of the Dead: the myth of Osiris. The full myth is quite lengthy, but its principal elements are as follows: the sky goddess Nut, or Nut, and the earth god Geb had 4 children, 2 sons, Osiris and Set, and 2 daughters, Isis and Nephthys. The brothers married their sisters. Osiris married Isis, and Set married Nephthys, and Osiris, as firstborn son, succeeded his father to the throne of Egypt. He ruled the primitive Egyptians with kindness and educated them, thus laying the foundations of great civilization they were to become. Set grew jealous of Osiris and murdered him, dismembered his brother's body, scattered the pieces across Egypt, and seated himself on the throne. Isis, with the help of her sister Nephthys and the gods Anubis and Thoth, located the pieces of her husband gathered them together and mummified his body, thus restoring him to life. Rather than return to Earth, however, Osiris became the eternal ruler of the realm of the afterlife and the netherworld of Duat. Meanwhile, Horus, the son of Osiris and Isis, avenged his father by defeating Set and becoming king in his father's place. From then on, the living pharaoh of Egypt embodied the spirit of Horus, while his deceased father became a new Osiris.